Going on, guys? Brad with Boss LEDs here. I'm going to be showing you guys how to solder some LED strips together. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys this real quick. Do this as hopefully as short amount of time as possible. So first, take your strip and bring it out. This is if you're gonna use this style of strip. This method's gonna work for just about anything. Some of you guys might have the other ones where you gotta actually peel off some of it, you know, if you're using the cheaper stuff. But you wanna get your solder pads right here exposed. I can get it to focus. Yeah, get your solder pads exposed. Figure out which one is your power and ground, and then you'll go from there. So, focus back over here. All right. I'm just using the tongs on this one because I don't like this setup here, but I like the tongs, so I keep using that. So. You don't have to use all this stuff. I just do it just to extra security. So I'm gonna take them, and these are like way too long for our little solder pads. So what I've been doing is I've just been chopping them off right where that other piece is at, right there. You only want a little bit. So, you know, you can see right here that that's such a small amount there. That's all you really need. If you're gonna be using something like this, you might need a little bit more for other ones, but for this case, that's what we need. I'll try and get you guys in here a little closer this time. All right. So next, I'm gonna take my little caps that I put on the ends of them. It's got these 4 little holes in here. I'm gonna chop out 2 of them just to make them bigger because these are for really small wires. But obviously I don't have really small wires. I think these are 8, I think these are 16 gauge just because these are for some real powerful LEDs that I've got here. All right, so I'm gonna stick that on there, just like that. Put this in here just because that wire gets really hot. So I'm actually gonna chop just a little bit more off of this one right here. Some new cutters. I just want just a little nub. That's all I want. Line that up right there. Now this is the step that some of you guys might use, some of you might not use. So this is just flux. If you don't know what flux is, it makes the solder flow a little bit easier and it kind of cleans it up whenever you actually put heat to it. So I'm gonna use just a little dab of it on my solder pads. If you guys have ever done any sort of like brazing or anything for like plumbing with copper lines, you guys should be pretty familiar with what flux is. So I'm gonna put just a little bit on there. I got my solder right here. Get just a little piece showing. I got this off of Amazon. It was like 10 bucks. But I hadn't figured out how to change it over to Fahrenheit, but if you just use it in Celsius right now, 375 seems to be working. Just don't touch yourself with it because it's really gonna hurt. So I'm gonna touch my solder pad and you'll here, let me get you guys in a little closer. You guys will see this. Just how quickly it melts all that stuff. Oop, just grabbing my foot. I apologize. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do the ground first. So smoke and done, just like that, that quick. Do it over here, maybe you guys can see it a little better. Touch it, done. That actually left a lot more solder than I wanted to, but it's fine, it'll all come off here in a minute. Clean the tip off real quick. And we'll set it in the tinner again. All right, tin the tips, that way we're nice and good. And bring it back over here, just rub off the excess. All I'm doing there is I'm just keeping the tip clean, so that way the solder will actually flow and it'll help heat better. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put just a little bit of solder on these ends. So I'm gonna hold it. You're gonna hold your soldering iron on the bottom. And I'm gonna just tap it and try to drag it over. It helps heat it up a little bit faster. The reason you put it on the bottom is because you want most of your solder to end up on the bottom. Solder's gonna go wherever the heat goes. So if your heat is on the bottom, it's gonna wanna flow down. Like I said, I'm gonna put it on the bottom, touch it there, kind of drag it over. And you'll watch it, it'll flow very nicely over there. So you get this, it doesn't even look like I did anything to it, but if I zoomed in really close, you guys will be able to see it. So now I'm gonna take this. And this is the part you gotta be careful with because it does get very hot very quickly. Kind of angle these correctly. I like to take this one and kind of angle it up just a little bit. This is if you were gonna be using helping hands like this. And then I'll keep this one kind of back so that way I can get that pressure from me pushing down on it. So I'm gonna try and get the solder melted on the wire again. And then I'll bring it over to the pad and I'll touch it to the pad. I just kind of slip my soldering iron out from underneath it. Let it sit for just a second and it's good. It's that easy, guys. A little bit harder with the camera in front of me, but we'll make do. Here, let me see if I can get you guys a better angle on this one. So, like I said, we're gonna take this, scoot it off to the side. This rubber piece also helps because that wire gets hot too. So, like I said, I'm gonna try and touch the wire to melt the solder. Gonna melt it on the pad, let go, let it sit for a second. You're done. Now just to show you guys that is a fresh one, that it is gonna work. I have my battery hooked up and I've got the other end of this plug on here, so I'm just gonna tap it real quick. Good to go. You should probably take this alligator clip off because of what it just jumped there. That's what you heard, the little pop. It's no big deal, it didn't hurt anything. But there we go. So now I've got that taken care of. I'm gonna be very careful because it is still hot. That solder is still pretty soft. And if you're using this type of LEDs, or these type of LEDs, it's a good idea to shove that back down in there. Get it back down inside. I like to get the wires inside just to add a little extra protection. And then what I'll do is I don't have any silicone on me, but you can use some sort of silicone to fill up in here, or if you do like Starlight headliners and stuff, hot glue works just as good. It's just the same. So I'm gonna fill it up like that, and then I'm gonna take my cap and I'm gonna push the cap down. Get it in there. I'm gonna push it down until I see it come out the top like that. Because once it comes out the top, I know that the whole top is covered, and you can see right there that the wires are not poking out at all. So there should be no chance of water getting in there. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other end. If you get these LEDs, you have to buy the caps. The caps do not come with them. I learned that the hard way. So I'm just gonna take my cap, open it up, go side to side, fill it all the way up to the top. should see it flow down the strip just like that. It flows down there, it's solid. There's a little bit back here too, you can't really see it on camera, but. And yeah, there's a little bit showing on the outside, but once these things dry, I'll go through and I'll tear all that off. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's how I do my LED strips. I hope this, helps you guys. Tell me in the comments, what you guys are working on. I am curious. If you guys are interested in any of my LED kits, let me know. I do wheel rings, I do the white glow kits, as you guys saw. I'm still doing sponsorships for those. I'm also a dealer for FCK Light Bar, so if you guys are interested in any of their products, let me know. All right, see you guys in the next video, guys.